Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Midlife Crisis, the show where I talk about every major DC crossover event in chronological order. This week, we are continuing our deep dive into Countdown with Countdown to Adventure, a mini-series that features two stories, one of which is a direct sequel to a story featured in the series 52. The story features characters Adam Strange, Starfire, and Animal Man all going on space adventures together. And if you want to see the original story where those three characters met one another, then you can go and check out my 52 video where I cover that story alongside all of the others that were featured in that event. The other story that's featured in this mini-series is the origin of the character Forerunner. Forerunner is a character that appears in the Countdown event, where she works for the character Monarch, and this miniseries goes deeper into her origin and her connection with the Monitors, which we don't know about yet. I've decided that I'm going to split up Countdown to Adventure into two separate videos, each covering one story. So this week we're going to be covering the story that features Adam Strange, Starfire, and Animal Man, and then next week we will cover the story that features Forerunner and her origins. This story is written by Adam Beechan, with art by Eddie Barrows, Julio Fiera, and The Ho Race. So please like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get straight into this first story. The story begins with Adam Strange exploring one of the local canyons on the planet Ran. It's been an entire year since he's come back to his home planet, so he's just getting reacclimated with everything, including one of his best friends, whose name is Shasoph. The two of them give a quick rundown of everything that happened during 52. Adam Strange lost his eyes thanks to a terrible teleporting accident, but he's recently gotten some new eyes, so he's getting better, and as soon as he's good, he's gonna get back to being the hero of Ran. Shasoph talks to Adam about being sent on a diplomatic mission to Sod, where he's hoping to be able to negotiate with them and create peace between Sod and Thanagar, because Ran and Thanagar used to be mortal enemies, but now they've created peace between them, and so now they're working together to create peace between them and other planets as well. Adam and Shasoph head off to go and meet with their families, where we are introduced to Adam's wife and daughter, Aaliyah and Alana. We then head to the Baker residence in San Diego, California, home of the Baker family, Buddy Baker, aka Animal Man, his wife Ellen, and their kids Cliff and Maxine. At the end of 52, Starfire had lost her powers, so she came to the Bakers so that she would have somewhere to recuperate and stay for a while. So she's been living with them. And while she's living with them, their son Cliff has been a little creep and has been taking photos of her, which they see they see the photos, and they're like, Cliff, what are you doing? This is really disrespectful to her, especially because she's a princess, but she's also a woman who deserves privacy. And Cliff snaps back, which means he's obviously going through some troubling times at the moment. He's getting used to the fact that his father was away for an entire year, and now he's back. So he's a little emotional. Ellen wants Buddy to contact the Titans because she believes that the Starfire should go to them, because she may not be right at the moment. She may be sick or something because she spent an entire year in space. But Buddy informs her that Starfire is her own woman and she can make her own decisions, and that she will decide what she wants when she wakes up. He then heads off to his job with the ad agency, where he serves as a stuntman on a movie lot. The star of the movie is Stephen Hazard. He recently starred in a movie that did $300 million at the box office, and so now he's starting to get big-headed and wants to renegotiate his contracts. So he's a bit of a dick. He gets hit by a Zeta beam, which Zeta beams are what Ran used to teleport people and things around the universe. So he gets hit by one of those and disappears, and everyone doesn't know what's going on. Buddy has to investigate what happened to Steven. Adam puts on his suit, ready to head out to be a hero, the hero of Ran for the day. But when he heads off to go and meet with Sardath, who is one of the higher-ups of Ran, he finds Stephen Hazard there because it turns out that Sardath has picked Stephen Hazard to be the new protector of Ran, because Adam was gone so long that they don't feel he can protect their planet anymore. And so they went searching for somebody else. They found Stephen because they were looking for another person from Earth, because that worked the first time. And Stephen has all the qualities that they're looking for. And Adam is not a fan of this because this Stephen guy has never done this before. He's very pompous and cocky. And Adam's feelings are only proven right when these creatures called Sandswarmers begin attacking Ran. So Stephen heads off to go and deal with it. And Adam chases after him, trying to explain to Stephen that the Sandswarmers aren't bad, that they are peaceful creatures that sometimes get a little out of line, and that instead of trying to hurt the Sandswarmers, they should relocate it to somewhere more peaceful. And Stephen refuses to listen to him and fights the Sandswarmer. He transforms it into glass and then smashes it to pieces, horrifying Adam. It's like, I'm so sorry, because Stephen has just killed an innocent creature, believing it to be a bad thing. Something that deserved to be destroyed. Buddy heads back home where he finds that Starfire has woken up, and she reveals to Buddy and his family that her powers still haven't come back, and this is an opportunity for her to start a new life, a normal life, one that she hasn't had since the old days on Tamaran. And she's not ready to go and see the Titans yet. She will when she's ready, but right now she wants to find her own place, get on her own feet, and live a normal life for a while. And Buddy offers her to stay with them because the kids love her and his wife is starting to warm up to her, and so Starfire agrees and she decides to continue living with the Bakers. Things on Ran only get worse for Adam because Stephen's actions with the Sandswarmers are praised by the Ranians, and they decide to make Stephen the official hero of Ran. Adam tries to explain to them that he's not worthy because of his erratic behaviors, but they won't listen to him, and what Adam is saying actually annoys Stephen to the point where Stephen starts attacking him and is like, "Don't you dare touch me, stop talking crap about me, or I will kill you." He straight up punches Adam in the face and gets right up in it. But he quickly calms down, is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's been a long day, I'm tired." And Sardath explains to Adam that while he won't be the hero of Ran anymore, he still will be one of their most important people and will have his family looked after and have everything he needs. And Adam is like, "I don't care about that. I won't let you take away my dignity. Not gonna take this lying down. If you really want someone like him to protect you, I guess I can't do anything about it, but I don't have to like it, or accept your help. Alana, Aaliyah, and I will be fine without you. I just hope you'll be fine without us." And so you just feel really bad for Adam. He's been away from his planet for so long. He finally comes back. He's happy to be the hero again. And then some random douche just takes over his role as the hero. This guy sucks. And Adam just feels left out and unwanted by his own people. Buddy Baker gets punched in the face because on the way to work, he comes across a couple of thugs committing a burglary. He puts on his Animal Man suit and decides to fight them, but unfortunately, because he was away from Earth for so long, his abilities are to connect with animals and use their powers. But being away from Earth for a year has made it hard for him to connect with the animals again. It's taking time, so he can't use most of his powers. While he's fighting these burglars though, a new power gets set off within Animal Man and he shoots optical beams at one of these guys, almost killing him, and he has no idea where these optical beams came from because they're not from any animal he's ever seen on Earth or seen at all. He manages to connect with a sparrow so that he can fly away and head off to work. When he gets there, he comes face to face with Stephen Hazard, who explains to Buddy that he is now the hero of Ran and that he's leaving Earth and he's not coming back. And when he first sees Buddy, Buddy mistakes him for Adam, and Stephen gets really upset in a weird way, in a way that doesn't make sense. It's starting to become a pattern. Stephen being all angry, and then you have Cliff getting really angry for no real reason, or a reason that justifies it, like maybe something's going on with them. On Ran, it's revealed that Adam Strange and his family have given up the good life and are living regular lives on Ran, where Adam has to work in the assembly line, where he's treated horribly by everyone. Everyone makes fun of him for now being a low-income worker instead of the hero that he used to be. He tunes into the local news where he hears all of the things that Stephen has been doing, like taking down protests that were peaceful and beating everyone up, which they don't deserve, killing creatures like the Zeradak, who are known to be peaceful, yet he keeps getting praised for it. They even melt down Adam's statue and replace it with one of Stephen. Adam gets home, reunites with his family, where his daughter is being taken care of by this woman named Alotho. The Strange family have hit hard times, but Alana explains to her husband that she doesn't care about living the good life. She doesn't care about Zeta Beam technology. All she cares about is Aaliyah and her husband, and that's all she will ever care about. Which is a very sweet moment. I love this moment. Sadly, the moment is interrupted by Alotho's screams. Turns out, she's getting attacked by one of the local mobs who hates the fact that she's getting money from Adam because he's a human and he's seen as an alien, so they don't like him. And so Adam decides to go out and try and defuse the situation and help Alotho. Meanwhile, Starfire picks up Maxine from school, asking her how her day has been. Maxine asks Starfire if she went to school. Starfire says, yeah, I went to school for a little bit, but I ended up having to leave for various reasons. Though ever since then, I regretted it and wished that I'd been a child again and had that childish wonder. Suddenly, a car begins careening off of the road, almost hitting a bunch of people, so Starfire decides to try and stop it, even though she doesn't have powers. She's like, I'm still physically better than a human, so I might be able to stop the car by running in front of it, but she's not gonna make it in time before the car hits some kids. Luckily, Animal Man jumps in, using the power of a rhino to stop the car. He then opens the car door and finds that the driver is Bert, his postman. Bert tries to grab Adam, saying that he's gonna kill him, that he's gonna rip him apart, and Starfire has to restrain him. And Buddy points out that Cliff was acting like this earlier, and that Stephen was acting like this as well. They were all acting really weird, really angry for no real reason. And so they decide that they're gonna go to Dr. Midnight to figure out what's going on. And while they're there, Dr. Midnight might also be able to find a way to get Starfire's powers back and to help Buddy with his powers as well. Another thing that Buddy notices is that these people that are getting really angry all say the same thing. Believe in her. And that turns a light switch on in Buddy and Starfire's heads. Because during the story in 52, Buddy, Starfire, and Adam Strange all faced this villain called Lady Styx. She had the ability to influence people throughout the galaxy and have them work for her, and they would go insane with anger. So they believe that maybe Lady Styx is still alive, and that she's coming back and she's infecting people. Meanwhile, Adam confronts the mob that's trying to hurt Alotho, and they all start attacking Adam, because they're like, you used to be our hero, but now you're a bum, and we all hate you. And that's when Stephen shows up and breaks up the fight. And the leader of the mob praises Stephen, but Stephen shoots and kills him anyway, because Stephen is insane. He kills this guy, and then he kills the rest of the mob, and turns to the other ones and says, if you don't like how I do things, I don't care. This is the way we are doing things now, not his way, and you can all join me and help me, or I will kill you. And they're all like, yeah, Steven's the best. And Adam is upset, because he's like, you're gonna be making all of these regular citizens vigilantes? Steven's like, if that's the way things have to be done to get things done around here, then yeah, I'm willing to do it that way. Maybe something's wrong with you, Strange, and right with all of us. Believe in her. And Adam's just like, believe in her? Oh my god. Because he too is realizing that maybe this is the influence of Lady Styx. Meanwhile, on the planet Sode, Shasaf arrives to create a peace treaty between him and the people of Sode. The beings of Sode are these little energy balls with nucleus-like things inside them. Shasaf hands the peace treaty to them, and all of a sudden, the beings of Sode begin murmuring, believe in her, believe in her. They all start acting really weird, and they start chanting that, and Shasaf and his two followers don't know what's going on, and all of a sudden they hear a big noise, and a giant spaceship arrives on the planet of Sode, and these mysterious beings from inside the ship appear and say that Sode has been contaminated and that they need to eradicate every being on Sode so that the infection can't spread. And so they send out all of these little tiny robots, and the robots rip apart Sode and his followers and all of the beings on Sode, and they destroy the entire planet. The entire planet just blows up, and these mysterious beings just reveal that they are now heading off to Earth because the infection has spread there. So it seems like these morally grey beings are against Lady Styx and are traveling from planet to planet, finding the infection and eradicating it at all means. It's really sad because Shasaf calls out to his wife while he is dying. It's messed up. Starfire and Maxine head back to the Baker household, where Starfire is attacked by Cliff, who has gone into an insane frenzy, holding a knife, trying to attack and kill the both of them because of this infection. Starfire fights Cliff off and has to be a little rough with him because he is trying to kill them, like really trying, and even her strength isn't strong enough to keep him away, so she has to throw him into the nearby wall. So she's trying not to hurt him, but there's only so much she can do. And at the same time, she's thinking about her relationship with Buddy, and it's hinted that she has more feelings for Buddy than she realizes, so she's trying to figure that out while she's fighting Cliff. She tries to stop the knife with her hand, but the knife goes straight through it. It's pretty nasty. Maxine tries to stop her brother, and Cliff just smacks her in the face and then tries to kill her. But Starfire does something really smart. She puts her hand over Cliff's face, using her blood to blind him, and so he starts slashing around in a frenzy, blinded, slashing Starfire's leg. And he starts charging at her, saying, now you will believe in her. And that's when Buddy and Ellen show up at the exact same time. Coincidentally, by the way, Buddy grabs Cliff and is able to restrain him, and then asks Starfire if she's okay. Meanwhile, Ellen runs over to Maxine and grabs her, and she gets upset at Buddy because he cared more about Starfire than his daughter, and Buddy explains to her that his daughter is fine. Starfire was on the ground bleeding, and that's why he went to her first, to see if she's okay. But Ellen doesn't really buy that excuse. But he's like, we can't argue about this right now. We need to get to a hospital. Buddy decides to take Cliff to the hospital himself, while Ellen, Starfire, and Maxine head off in the car. Starfire tries to talk to Ellen, but Ellen says, not now, Starfire. I gotta get my kids to the hospital because one of them's sick and the other one's hurt. Meanwhile, on Rand, the situation's getting worse. The infection is spreading from Lady Styx. Everyone's starting to go crazy, and so Adam decides to get his wife and daughter off of Rand to another planet that's safe for them. So they're grabbing all their things, and then their place is attacked by the enraged citizens, so they start running away from all of these infected people. Adam stays behind to try and take care of them a little bit, beat up a couple of people, keep them away from his family, and that's when Steven shows up. And so Adam faces Steven in battle. He grabs a nearby pipe and throws it at Steven, which distracts him long enough that Adam can get close to him. He grabs Steven by the arm and then punches him in the face, knocking him out. He then leaves Steven unconscious and grabs his wife and daughter, says, "I'm going to take you to somewhere safe, and then I'm going to come back to Ran and figure out what's going on, because I know that this is somehow related to Lady Styx. She's somehow turned her influence into an infection and has started infecting people, so I'm going to come back here, figure out a cure or something, find the High Council, tell them what's going on, and try to fix this." At the hospital, Doctor explains to the Baker family that the infection seems to have ceased at the moment. Everyone who is supposed to be infected has already been infected. Like, it's only affected about the third of the population, which is still a lot of people, but it seems like it might not infect anyone else. The Doctor believes that the infection is of alien origin and assumes that maybe Starfire is the reason for this infection, and Starfire argues back, saying, "Just because I'm an alien, you shouldn't treat me like the enemy. Test my blood, you have it. If I'm infected, then I'll happily isolate myself. But until then, I need to go out there and help people, because that's where I'm most needed." She also says that there are other aliens living on Earth, like John Johns and Superman, and yet he's not treating them like he's treating her. Starfire then tells them that she knows that Lady Styx is responsible for this, and that her and Buddy should go off and investigate Lady Styx and see if she is responsible. Which Buddy agrees with, and Ellen gets annoyed. She's like, "You're gonna go and head off with Starfire on another adventure rather than stay with your family?" And Buddy is like, "As much as I would love to stay here and look after my family, I have to do this." And Ellen looks at Buddy and says, "Are you in love with Starfire?" And Buddy doesn't answer her, and instead says, "I'll be back as soon as I can," and he leaves. The mysterious beings that went to the planet Sode and destroyed it, it turns out they refer to themselves as healers, which is what I will refer to them as from now on. They say that the infection on planet Earth has spread far enough that they need to get there as quick as they possibly can to take care of it. Adam returns to Ran wearing a disguise so that people don't see him, otherwise he'll get jumped. He makes his way through all these crazy citizens on Ran in an attempt to talk to the High Council and explain the situation to them. He breaks through their headquarters, taking down the guards. He tries to put on the guard's uniform, but it doesn't fit, so he has to keep wearing this cloak. He gets to the High Council, where he learns of what happened to Shasov, and so he starts asking Sardaf questions. It's like, what happened to Soad? What happened to Shasov? And Sardaf says that it was murder, that somebody murdered them and destroyed the entire planet. And Adam says that maybe it's not murder, it could have been natural. But Sardaf refuses to listen to him and says that because there was bloodshed, like, it needs to be fought back with more bloodshed. So he wants to find the person responsible and kill them. And Adam looks in Sardaf's eyes and sees that he is definitely infected. And things only get worse for Adam when Steven appears behind him with a gun, saying that he has broken into the High Council, and that is something that is punishable by death. So yeah, Adam, not in a good situation at the moment. Not only is the council infected, but he's now being held at gunpoint and might get killed. Back on Earth, Starfire and Buddy begin fighting their way through these infected citizens, and they decide that they're going to try and call the Titans and get their help. And so they call Nightwing, and Nightwing says, like, yeah, we're gonna bring the Titans there as soon as possible, because everything's crazy right now. And at that very moment, Starfire and Buddy see the Healer's ship arrive on Earth, and the Healers exit the ship. And so Starfire and Buddy try to leave the city, but they hit a force field. And it turns out that the Healers have put a force field around the entirety of San Diego, so that nobody can escape. The only ones that can get in and out are the Healers. So Starfire and Buddy realize that they are trapped in San Diego with these insane citizens. Adam Strange is held at gunpoint by Stephen Hazard, who is under the control of Lady Styx. He starts maniacally giving this speech where he says that he's never killed before and that he's only done stunts, and so the thrill and the idea of killing someone for real invigorates him. But Adam knows that Steve is inexperienced, and he takes advantage of that. When Steve tries to shoot him, Adam dodges Steve and then uses his tactical awareness to be able to dodge all of their lasers, and then he grabs Sardaf and uses him as a human shield. And is like, if you're gonna try and kill me, then you're gonna have to kill Sardaf. And Steve says that he's willing to kill Sardaf because he's willing to do anything if it means that Adam is going to die. And so Adam chucks Sardaf at Steve and then jumps out a nearby window. He's like, I know what I'm doing, I think. Meanwhile, in San Diego, Starfire and Animal Man fight alongside the Teen Titans against these citizens, trying to keep them at bay, these citizens that have been infected. Starfire tells Robin and the Titans to stay here while Buddy and Starfire try and go deal with the force field, and also find those two aliens that are trying to heal the city, and just see what's going on with them, because they were saying that they are going to perform some kind of cleanse, and that doesn't sound good for the city, because that may mean destroying the whole of San Diego or Earth entirely. Buddy tries tapping into his animal powers, and when he does, he sees the entire cosmos in front of his eyes and every single alien species that exists. All animals, all alien animals, some that he's never even seen before. So it seems his powers are growing immensely. He taps into the power of an eagle and grabs Starfire, and they head off together. After jumping out of the window, Adam grabs onto a nearby cable, which breaks, causing him to fall on top of the head of a statue, which breaks some of his ribs and his arm. He then smashes into a window and heads straight back into the building. So what he did was he jumped out of the building, fell down a few floors, and then broke back in, which is kind of smart, I guess, because Steve and the other members of the authorities would think that Adam would have jumped out of the building and head off to a different building, and not guess right away that he just broke back into the same building. But it turns out Steve is actually pretty smart, because he sees that the cable is broken and figures out that Adam is still in the building, and so they go off in search for him. Two of the guards turn to Steve, and they're like, we kill for her. And Steve is like, yes, we do kill for her, but at this moment you've got to kill for me, because nobody loves her more than I do. Adam stealths his way through the building. He wants to try and find Sardaf's lab, because he's like, if Sardaf isn't available to come up with a cure, then I guess I'm gonna have to figure it out myself and try and come up with a cure myself. But if I'm gonna get to his lab, I'm gonna need some equipment, because I can't fight these guys the way that I am, especially with this broken arm and these broken ribs. Adam gets jumped on by a few guards, but he fights back against them. He grabs one of them and knocks them out, and then uses their weapons to fight against the other ones, taking them all down. Meanwhile, Animal Man tries talking to the healers, who completely ignore him and continue doing their little seance. They're doing some kind of ritual or something in the sky, using their abilities, and they have a force field around them, so Animal Man gets frustrated and tries to punch them. He's like, if you're not going to listen to me, then I'm going to have to use force. It turns out they have a force field, so he can't do anything. But then he sees Starfire getting attacked by some citizens, And so he grabs a nearby solar panel and shines the sunlight over them, trying to blind them, but instead he knocks them out. Like, I don't get it. They should have just blinded them, not knocked them out. And then Starfire gets really mad at him. Like, that was unnecessary. And Animal Man's like, what did I do wrong? I was just trying to help you. Starfire's like, I don't have my powers. These kind of situations are what I need, where I can figure out how to fight back and protect myself without my powers. So I don't need people like you coming in and treating me like a child and protecting me. And Animal Man's like, you want to be independent, I get it, but this is a big situation and it needs the two of us working together as a team, because we're a good team. I am not a child, Buddy Baker. I am a warrior princess of Tamaran, one who has come to rely too much on abilities she was not born with. I will not trade those dependencies for a reliance on you. I do not intend to remain tied to you or anyone for the rest of my life. So the next time you feel the need to save me, don't. Now we still need to find a way to communicate with the healers. Are you coming or not? And Buddy's just left kind of feeling a little sad, you know? Because he wasn't expecting Starfire to get so upset over him just helping her. Adam continues sneaking his way through the building until he makes it to Stardust's storage room, where he finds some of his equipment, his jetpack, his helmet. He puts on his old suit. It's like, yeah, this feels good. Hero time. So now he's fully equipped to try and find Stardust's lab, and if he comes across any guards, he can take them out with his equipment now. All of the citizens that Buddy Baker had knocked out using sunlight begin to wake up and start approaching him, and he thinks they're going to attack him, so he starts begging them to stay away from him. But then everyone's just like, whoa, where are we? Like, what happened? Why do I feel like I've been working out for 3 days straight? It turns out that intense sunlight may be the cure to this infection, and so Buddy quickly catches up to Starfire and tells her that they need to go to the hospital because he thinks he knows the cure. The citizens then approach them and they want to turn Starfire over to the healers because they blame her for this infection and they believe that she is the carrier. And Starfire is entirely willing to go to the healers because she just wants this to end. And so she's like, if I am the one who is carrying this infection, then hand me over to the healers if it's going to cure everyone. And Buddy says that if they hand her over to the healers, they'll probably destroy her. So that's not an option. So Buddy searches for an animal to use its powers to get away. He grabs onto Starfire, and he tries to use the powers of a falcon, but he ends up using the powers of something that he doesn't know, some kind of alien creature that has rocket blast levels of power when it comes to flying. They're going so fast that Starfire has to tell him to stop and slow down, otherwise they'll smash straight into the barrier and die. And so Buddy turns off the powers and they start bowling. Starfire's like, this isn't any better, we're gonna splat on the ground. Buddy's like, we got plenty of time for me to find another creature and use its abilities. So he connects with another alien creature that has the ability to glide, and he grabs Starfire and glides away with her to the hospital. Meanwhile, back on Ran, Adam Strange's wife and daughter have been taken to a place called Boxus Shem, which is a place that they've been to many times where they've stashed a lot of equipment and things in case stuff like this would happen. And so she grabs a gun and is fighting against the citizens of Ran that have been infected, trying to protect her daughter. Meanwhile, now finally equipped with better equipment, Adam Strange, instead of taking the stealthy route to get to Stardust's lab, instead takes the direct route by blasting straight through the guards. He then breaks into Stardust's lab and has to figure out how to work the equipment so he can find a cure for the infection. But as he's doing this, Steve and his guards begin banging on the door, so he has to be fast before they break in and stop him. The healers continue working on trying to control the situation, but they gotta find patient zero if they want any chance of stopping this infection. And if they have to destroy the planet, they will. But they are doing everything they can to stop the infection and not let it get to that point. Buddy and Starfire arrive at the hospital because Buddy wants to take his son, who has been infected, out and cure him with the sunlight because he believes it'll work. But his wife is against it and believes that the hospital should be able to cure him. But the doctor says that they can't cure him, so they're gonna have to trust Buddy and give their son over to him. And so Buddy takes their son away, and Starfire promises Ellen that she will protect Buddy and her son with her life. They take Cliff outside, and Cliff's infection begins increasing. It starts evolving, and so they gotta cure him as fast as possible, because if his infection is evolving, then it means that everybody else's will soon as well. So Buddy grabs a reflection plate, he hits his son with a whole ton of sunlight, and it cures him. Cliff is cured of the infection. But now they gotta figure out how to disperse the sunlight over the entire population, because they don't have enough time to go around curing everyone one at a time with one reflection panel. Starfire states that if she had her powers, she would be able to disperse the sunlight herself. But obviously she doesn't have them. However, she does note that when she went to Ran, where they had 3 suns, she became quite powerful and was able to get a lot of power very quickly. So Buddy decides that they're going to take her to Ran somehow so that she can regain her powers, travel back to Earth, and cure the population. But then the healers show up, ready to grab Patient Zero, and Buddy believes that it's Starfire, so he tries to protect her. It's like, I'm not gonna let you take her. But then they grab him, because it turns out that Buddy Baker is Patient Zero, and not Starfire. So they grab him, and they take him away. The healers are planning to dissect Buddy in order to find a cure, which is not a good thing because it means that he's gonna die. Steve and his guards manage to break into Sardast's lab, where they come face to face with Adam. They try to destroy the lab, and Adam's like, you idiots, you can't destroy the lab, because if you destroy it, we'll lose all hope for Ran. And Steve is like, that doesn't matter, the only thing that matters is her love. You believe in her now, don't you? You thought she was dead, but she never dies because she's death itself. She's coming back, you old piece of garbage, and she's given me Ran to rule in her name. The name of Lady Styx. And so it's officially confirmed, even though it was hinted many times and it was very easy to presume that this really is Lady Styx coming back with a vengeance. With Adam Strange once again at gunpoint, Steve reveals to him that Lady Styx is indeed alive, and that once the infection has taken over everyone, Lady Styx will come and they will rule the universe together, because he's preparing for her arrival by killing lots of people so that the ground can be littered with corpses when she arrives. But then somebody approaches Steve from behind, telling him to back away slowly from her husband, because it's Alana alongside their daughter Aaliyah. And she's got a gun and she's ready to shoot it. She's like, if you don't get away from my husband, I will kill you. Steve says some pretty messed up stuff. He says that once he kills Alana, he'll happily take care of the daughter because he's always wanted one. But the way he says it, it seems like he's probably planning on doing some messed up things. Alana tricks Steve by telling him, get him, Adam! But it turns out that Adam is still knocked out. And so that gives Alana a chance to knock Steve over the head, you know, when he looks at Adam thinking that Adam's coming at him. She then grabs Adam and says that the best way for them to get help is from Adam's Earth friends, and that the Zeta Beam should be locked on to the Justice League headquarters, so they activate the Zeta Beam and teleport off to Earth. Buddy Baker has been taken away by the healers for dissection, and Starfire decides that she needs to go after him even though she doesn't have powers. Buddy's wife, Ellen, wants to go as well because she feels a duty to help her husband, like she wants to. It's like, I am not staying behind, I'm gonna fight for my husband. But then she sees her kids and thinks, man, I can't leave my kids. I'd be doing exactly what my husband did when he left. I got mad at him for it, so am I being a hypocrite? And that's when the doctor says that he has a safe area for the children and he can look after them so that Ellen can go and help her husband. And so Ellen makes the tough choice to leave her kids at the hospital and go with Starfire to find a way to get onto the healer's ship to save her husband. The problem is, there is a force field in their way, and as far as they know, there's no way of getting through it. But they don't have to worry about that now. What they have to worry about is getting to the beach that's close to the ship, and so they have to drive there. So they get into a truck, they head off, chased by all of these infected citizens, but they get stopped by a gas truck that's in their way. The truck gets broken in by some of the citizens, and they grab Ellen, but Starfire manages to shake them off by reversing the truck. They finally make it to the beach, and they're like, alright, how are we gonna get through the force field now? And at that very moment, luckily, Adam Strange, Alana, and Aaliyah arrive in Buddy Baker's hometown, because it turns out the Zeta Beam was locked onto there, which is really lucky. And so they go off to look for Animal Man. Meanwhile, Steve wakes up and says that now that Adam Strange is gone with his family, they can focus on taking over Rann, killing all the Thanagarians, because that's what the Rannians always wanted to do, and then allowing for Lady Styx to arrive. Adam Strange reunites with Starfire, and his family meets Buddy's family, and Adam learns from Starfire that Buddy has been taken to the healer's ship, where they're going to dissect him, and so Adam says that as long as they get close to the force field, they'll be able to figure out a way to get through it. So he flies up there with Ellen and Starfire, and Elena follows them from behind. She has her blaster on her hip, and she notices that there's a couple of weak spots in the force field. So she pulls out her blaster, she shoots at the weak spots, creating a small hole big enough for them to get through to the healer's ship. They find the exhaust port on the ship and enter it, where they find what is essentially the medicinal sewers. They hear Buddy screaming, and so they head towards the screams, because it seems like he's in a lot of pain, and they find Buddy on the operating table with the healers shooting him with energy, preparing him for dissection. Because they are interrupting the operation, the healers send a bunch of their little red robots after Adam Strange and friends. And so together they fight back against the red robots to distract the healers long enough so that Ellen can run up to Buddy and set him free. Using her blaster, Alana distracts the healers long enough that they can activate the Zeta Beam and get out of the healer's ship with Buddy in tow. So the healers, now having lost Patient Zero, decide that there's no hope of saving Earth anymore, and that they're gonna have to destroy it. So they send all their little sentient robots down to Earth in order to kill everyone and destroy the entire planet, because to them, it's doomed. The Strange family, the Baker family, and Starfire all arrive in Rann inside the council building, where they realize that it's practically empty and a little too quiet for their liking. While they are there, they get attacked by Sardaf, but Starfire manages to hold him back, and then Buddy uses one of his new alien abilities to knock him out. This shocks Ellen. She's like, what did you do? And Buddy explains to her that he's been gaining new abilities, new alien abilities, and that he wasn't trying to reconnect to the animals of Earth. His body was trying to reconnect to everything, and that's why it took so long. The group decides to head out into the streets of Rann to see what's going on, and the status of the city is really bad. Everything is on fire, buildings have crumbled, and it's because Steve and his guards have been destroying everything, and all the infected people have been destroying everything, and now they've headed off to the port in order to invade Thanagar and kill all the Thanagarians. So Adam decides that he's going to go to the port and stop Steve, and Buddy decides that he's going to take Starfire closer to the three suns of Rann so that she can absorb them and gain enough power to cure the entire planet of Rann. But Ellen gets really upset because Buddy is thinking more about helping Starfire than helping his own wife. And Buddy just says, now's not the time, Ellen. I need to do this. This is part of my duty as being a hero. I hope you understand. As they fly towards the sun, Starfire explains to Buddy, she's like, you have to understand that I have no feelings for you, and that you need to care about your wife. Like, do you realize that I don't love you? And Buddy is like, I do understand. Of course I do. I'm just doing what I need to do. I'm a hero, we're heroes, this is what we do. My wife has to understand that sometime. Adam finds Steve's fleet and heads into one of the ships, which Steve notices, and so he heads off to go and deal with Adam. He breaks into the ship, and Adam and Steve fight each other, and Adam reveals to Steve that he was just distracting him so that he could send the ship that they're on straight into a nosedive right into the carrier below. And so it smashes straight into the carrier, blowing it up and destroying the entire fleet. Starfire gets close enough to the sun that she can absorb it, and she tells Buddy that she's going to have to send him back to Earth because he can't survive in space. And there's a recreation of the Creation of Adam painting by Michelangelo. As Buddy falls back to Earth, Starfire absorbs the power of all 3 suns, and before he can hit the ground, she saves him, and it's revealed that Starfire has regained her powers. Adam and Steve both fall to the grounds of Ran, where Steve tries to kill Adam with a piece of metal, but Buddy comes from behind him and hits him with the power of a Texas Longhorn because he was able to sense it. While he helps Adam up, Steve uses his Zeta Beam technology to transport himself to Earth, because like, if I can't deal with Ran right now because of you, I'll go to Earth and deal with them first. Buddy then reveals to Adam that Starfire has regained her powers. He points over to the city of Ran, where we see Starfire use her powers to cure everybody in Ran. A massive wave of purple sunlight energy erupts from her body, and so Adam reunites with his wife, and Buddy reunites with his wife, and everyone's been cured. So now they have to head back to Earth to deal with the healers. So because Sardap has been cured, he's able to log into the Zeta Beam computers to plot a course for Earth. But when he brings up the current state of Earth, they see that it is being attacked by the healers' robots, and all sorts of catastrophe is going on right now. It's fire and buildings being destroyed and everything. It's not good. So they're going to have to head back to Earth ASAP to save everyone before the healers destroy it. With Earth currently under the threat of destruction, Adam Strange decides that they need to get there as quick as possibly can, but it's revealed that Steve has destroyed the Zeta Beams on Ran, so they're going to have to find another way to get there. Ellen asks Buddy to use his powers, and he tries to find a creature that can get them back to Earth, but he can't find one, and so Sardaf comes up with an idea. He says that he's going to use data in order to transport them to Earth. But he says that using data to transport organic beings is something that hasn't been done very often. It's very dangerous, it could be very painful, there could be a lot of side effects, but it's the only real choice that they have. Ellen wants to go with Buddy, but Buddy refuses because he doesn't want her to risk her life. But Ellen says, if I don't go with you, you'll die and I'll be left here alone. And then what does that fix? As long as I go with you, at least we would die together, or there's a chance that we would both survive together and be able to reunite with our kids, and I'm willing to take that chance. So Sardaf turns on the beam and teleports the group back to Earth, and they get there, and the only real side effect they have is vomiting. Except for Starfire, because apparently because she's an alien, she was able to resist it. They arrive in San Diego, where it's being attacked by the sanitizers, which are these little red robots. So they start fighting back against them. Adam decides to help Ellen get to the hospital so that she can find her kids, while Buddy and Starfire head off to find the healers so that Buddy can convince them to stop the sterilizers, because the sterilizers are stopping Starfire from using her powers to cure everybody. This time around, Buddy has access to more alien languages, so he might be able to use a language that the healers will actually listen to. While taking Ellen to the hospital, Adam starts getting overrun by sterilizers, and so he drops Ellen off, and she runs into the hospital to reunite with her kids. Adam, becoming overwhelmed by these sterilizers, decides to set off his jetpack so that it will explode, and he prays that he survives the explosion. Buddy and Starfire meet with the healers, and Buddy speaks to them in an unknown alien language and manages to convince them to stop for a moment. As Starfire prepares to use her powers to heal San Diego, Steve attacks her from behind because this guy just doesn't give up, and I hate this guy. Smashes straight through a water tower and is preparing to kill Starfire, but then Adam Strange comes in and says, "It's about time I saved somebody instead of somebody saving me," and he blasts Steve in the chest with his laser pistol. Healers then realize that Steve is trying to stop the cure, and so they send all the sterilizers at him, and the sterilizers overwhelm Steve and eat him until there's nothing left. Starfire's like, "Oh, is that what happens when you get sterilized?" Now, with nothing standing in her way, Starfire flies up into the sky and uses her abilities to cure everyone in San Diego. And the healers don't sense the infection anymore, so they decide to leave. Adam, Buddy, and Starfire all reunite, and Adam tells them that he's heading back to Ran so that he can become their hero again and make some changes that are much needed. And so he heads off to Ran. And then Buddy and Starfire head back to the Baker household. On Ran, Adam becomes the hero again, and he gives out a big speech where he says that things need to change. Up until this moment, Ran has been very hostile towards outsiders. They've seen them as primitive. They've seen themselves as being above everybody, and that needs to change. They need to start being more welcoming of everyone and less judgmental, less racist. Let us strive for this strong, unified, tolerant new Ran together. And everyone's just like, yeah! At the Baker household, Starfire says a heartfelt goodbye to Buddy Baker, Ellen Baker, Maxine, and Cliff. And she's going to head off to the Titans for the first time in over a year. Buddy and Starfire have a heartfelt hug, and Buddy reassures her that if Despero ever attacks the city, or someone like him, they will definitely see each other again and work together as heroes. This is not the last time they'll see each other. Starfire leaves. Ellen turns to Buddy and asks him if he's okay. He's like, "Yeah, Starlabs told me that I was cured. It's all good." Like, that's not what I mean. I mean, are you okay? Am I okay? Yeah. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm really home. And there's no place I'd rather be. The end. Just kidding, there's actually an epilogue. Meanwhile, in Space Sector 1151, a crony goes and visits Lady Styx, telling her that her plan to infest Earth didn't succeed and that the infection has been wiped out. So Lady Styx kills this guy and says that although this plan has failed, there are more plans to come, and Lady Styx is not done trying to take over the universe. So now that I have freed myself from the feline husk that was my temporary home, I can resume my march. My word of death will soon be visited on all who live. The word of Lady Styx. The end for now. And it's revealed that Steve didn't die, and that they found his remains, and that they've been rebuilding him with robot parts, Darth Vader style. So, yeah, to be continued. And that's going to be it for this week's episode. That was Countdown to Adventure. Overall, this story was really good. I enjoyed this miniseries a lot. I think it's the one that I've enjoyed the most so far. I just like all of the characters interacting with each other. I love the relationship between Adam Strange, Starfire, and Buddy Baker, Animal Man. This zombie apocalypse kind of infection storyline was just really cool. I really liked it. I liked all of the stuff with Adam Strange having to deal with some new guy taking over his role as the hero of Ran, and the fact that he was always the better guy. Like, Adam was never petty until the very end, when it was time to finally stop Steve once and for all, and he deserved it by that point. Adam had earned the chance to finally shove it in Steve's face, be like, you're done, like, you're out of here, you deserve to die. Normally I'm not a fan of love triangles in comic books, but in this case, the love triangle between Ellen and Starfire and Buddy was at least interesting, because in the end, it never really existed. The idea of Buddy and Starfire being interested in each other was brought up, but it was never gonna go anywhere, because Buddy was determined to be with his wife because he loves Ellen. So it was cool to see that play out. You know, to see these characters beefing with each other when there wasn't really any reason for them to realize exactly how they feel about each other, which for Buddy and Starfire is they just love each other like friends, while, you know, Buddy loves his wife as he should, and his kids. I think it was a love triangle that was done well, especially because it didn't take things too far. Buddy and Starfire never kiss at any point. He never cheats on his wife or anything. He remains a loyal guy who just has conflicted feelings going on, but in the end, he knows where his heart truly lies. One major positive criticism I will say about this book is that I love the fact that everybody gets something to do. There's not a single character who just sits around doing nothing. They all have a role in this. Like, even Ellen and Alana get a lot to do, especially towards the end. Like, Ellen getting to head off to the hospital in order to save her kids, you know, heading to Ran with her family. Like, she's very involved in this instead of just staying at the house with her kids, which a lot of stories tend to do with the wife kind of character, is they'll be like, she just stays at home while the husband, who is the hero, he goes out and does it. I liked the fact that she refused to stay behind. And that was the same with Alana as well. Overall, I would highly recommend reading this miniseries. You don't need to read Countdown. I would recommend reading 52 before reading this. And then once you're done with that, read this miniseries because it's really good. It's definitely the best miniseries of all of these Countdown ones that I've read. And just a good standalone story to read. Especially if you like these characters. And even if you don't know who these characters are, you don't need to. The story explains enough for you to familiarize with them. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Next week, I will be covering the other story that takes place in Countdown to Adventure, the backup story, which follows the Forerunner and her origins and connections to the Monitors. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. That backstory is a lot more important to Countdown than this one is. So I'll see you next week, and have a good one.